Scenes, mate.
Hello everyone,
Oh,
I'm Graeme.
I'm Ewan.
That's Ewan.
That's Ewan
Here today for another episode of the Scenes Cast.
on the Scenes podcast.
Yes.
I'm so happy to be here.
We've got a wee topic we want to cover, but first let's just kind of catch up on some news.
Yeah, we've got a couple of wee things have happened. I thought it'd be really pertinent to mention. You know, we started off, we're very made it clear, first couple of episodes that we're big on like comics and pop culture.
Yeah.
And we're just coming off of very fresh, the casting of a new Superman and Lois.
Yes, some big news.
So I was just looking up the names of the actors and I put in Superman and Lois.
Lewis. Superman's pal Lewis Olsen.
Lewis Olsen. Oh my god. So we've got the news of new casting of Superman and Lois.
Yes, some good news
that-
from DC.
Is rare bit of good news for DC. We've got a bit of complicated relationship with them. You know, I've talked. You can hear loose rumblings of how I feel,
Yes, through the tier list episode, there's
tier
some
list.
mentions at some points, I think.
and I will. It will come up again.
We'll return
sure.
to that.
But you know, it's been announced that David Cornsweet and Rachel Brosnahan
Yes.
are playing Superman and Lois in James Gunn's Superman Legacy,
Yes.
which I think it's cool. It's weird because I don't know. We're in an age now where it's just like another Superman, and it's about like, okay, I need to see what it is before I
I
judge.
kind of get what you're saying, and I think Superman and Lois Lane are like hard to fan cast. Like, I think it's hard to get an idea what that would look like.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? I don't see like people struggling to fan cast other characters.
yeah. I've seen it
That's
happen,
hard.
but it's a bit like you kind of just like these characters, like they'll fit into them naturally enough.
Yeah.
So I had no idea really what I was looking for either.
I'm glad James Gunn did.
That's what I was gonna say. God, again, it's one of those moments where I'm like, yeah, James Gunn's giving the ball. I'm happy to see that. I talked to you today. I saw that a while ago. David was asked sort of like what his dream role would be, and he said Superman's his pipe dream. He specifically said, you know, I like Henry Cavill, but I don't care for like the grim, dark version that Henry Cavill basically is at this point. And I'd like to do something a bit more hopeful.
Yeah.
Which for me personally was great because I hate the dour Superman. Again, Henry Cavill Superman is good, but I do not like what they did with Henry Cavill Superman.
Yeah, I have no doubt Henry Cavill could have been a good, optimistic, happy
Proper
Superman.
like
Yeah.
Superman.
Yeah. I think it'll be good when because they're going to introduce the Authority in the movie.
That's true.
So it'd be good to like juxtapose the two because they're really very cynical, and Superman's obviously the opposite of that. At least this
Yeah.
take is by the looks of it.
See, I don't really know much about the Authority per se, but is that the one with Manchester Black in it?
I think so. It's like the main beat of the story that I know is like they give him like an ultimatum sort of thing, like it has to let someone die, kind of something like that.
Right.
That's the kind of bare bones I know of it.
Well, as I look to Legacy, I'm thinking, because did they not literally say their biggest inspiration was like All-Star Superman?
Yeah,
Which,
it's like
yeah, that's like
a last Superman story.
weirdly enough, but then a lot All-Star really does.
It's the essence.
They pick this idea of the character in his life to fully define it.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, to put the
Yeah.
most complete cap on it.
Yeah.
And I've not read as much of it as you have, but what I have read, I'm really happy with. It's, if you're going to take inspiration from Superman, is that the sort of pinnacle of Superman.
Yeah.
And maybe it doesn't quite need to be the same in Legacy, because obviously we're not to the end of it,
Yeah,
but
of
hopefully
course,
we're
yeah.
at the start.
Yeah. I mean, I'm very happy that James Gunn's plans for the DCU are just like, we're just going to do all Grant Morrison, which is great to me, to be honest with
So
you.
far it is. Well,
Sounds
yeah,
awesome.
we know he's great.
Yeah.
We'll get Animal Man.
I can't wait for like part 2 of phase 1 where it's just Doom Patrol and the Invisible or something. Like,
Well, see, that I won't stand for. I need, if James Gunn wants to earn like my soul, just be like, see the Doom Patrol show, that's actually canon.
oh,
Like the Doom Patrol
sneak it in at
show
the end.
is already like the epitome of what like Doom Patrol can be. Like
Yeah.
it is
Right.
really, it takes the stuff from these runs, like it takes stuff like Grant Morrison that isn't straight replica, but it really encapsulates the essence of it.
Yeah.
I might have issues with DC movies, but DC TV, Doom Patrol is a sublime TV show to me. And I tell you every day, I tell you all the time to watch it. And I know it's not something you
There's
just
a
do.
lot to watch in general.
It's quite big, to be fair. I still need it for all the seasons. I want like a full Blu-ray box of it. I want steelbooks. I want everything. I want merch. They're not going to merch it.
They
This
will
shows,
never.
it's just turned into that. But I think it's a beautiful realisation of the weirdness in the characters.
Yeah.
Which is Grant Morrison, Gerard Way, Like really everyone who worked on Doom Patrol, even the people who like don't really get as much sort of attention as Morrison in a way. It's a super character focused thing, and I don't want that touched. But the problem is I'm very much advocating.
Eventually they will, no doubt.
Yes.
Take it at some point.
Well, what I was thinking was how I'm advocating for a clean slate.
Yeah.
So while I love Doom Patrol, I kind of want everything gone.
Yeah, that would be ideal.
Start.
I don't think that's happening, but it would be ideal.
They're trying to have it both ways.
I guess, aye.
The Blue Beetle thing's weird, where it's like Blue Beetle the movie isn't, but Blue Beetle the
Blue
character.
Beetle, played by Cholo.
Yeah, played by Cholo is like going to be back for sure. And I'm like, so what, are you just going to do another Blue Beetle 1?
Yeah.
Because you can't just do Blue Beetle 2 and then tell me Blue Beetle 1 wasn't canon.
That's weird. I don't really know how it's going to play out in the end.
I was going to ask, have you seen Marvelous Mrs. Maisel?
I've not seen Marvelous Miss Maisel, no. I think I've seen her in other things.
I don't recognise
I can't
stuff.
like,
It's
place
only,
what it is, though.
only Marvelous Mrs. Maisel that I know her from.
Yeah.
I've not really watched a lot of it, but what I'm trying to say is I'm keen to see how Rachel does.
Yeah.
Lois Lane's like a weird character in depictions because it really is how you go about it. You know, again, I don't really like the Amy Adams one because I don't really like that sort of style and those type of characters. But I do sort of, that concept of the headstrong Lois is quite interesting.
Okay, right.
The CW's Lois, the one that's currently on Superman and Lois, Bitsy Tulloch, Elizabeth Tulloch, is like surprisingly amazing.
Yeah.
I remember when she showed up and it was like a cameo almost. They had her in because Superman had been in. It's like, oh, we have to get Lois in.
Right, yeah, makes
and
sense.
she just she just went right in on it. It was like, oh, she's Lois Lane. She's important, but she doesn't take shit. But she loves Superman, and her and Superman are very happy together. So that's defined my opinion of Lois.
Right.
What do you really think about Lois? Because
I don't
I
really
feel like
know.
a character you don't really talk about. Not you personally, like we don't talk about Lois.
Well, it comes from a lack of knowledge on Superman comics, and like the only external media outside of that would be some of the animated movies and like the Reeves movies. I don't even really remember Returns. I've seen that, but I don't remember
seen
it.
Returns, but you don't remember it.
Yeah.
See, I am
and it would just be the Reeves movies.
Well, I
and
pretty much
she's not like a. I mean, you wouldn't write Lois Lane like that today.
Yeah,
It would be a different
definitely
thing completely.
Because that was, I was going to say that a couple of the Lois Lanes I've seen are like from the older time.
I don't think it's a bad one necessarily.
damsel.
It's just a product of its time, I think.
Yeah, I mean the tropes have sort of moved on from them. Some of the Lois Lanes were never like bad. They were just like you say, they're a bit more veered to damsel, less character focus.
Exactly. Yeah.
But you know they had their elements. Terry Hatcher's Lois, which I think was that Superman and Lois the TV show with Dean Cain.
Terry Hatcher from Desperate Housewives.
Yes,
that was her. Yes.
From what I saw of her, actually, I think she's a good laugh. I love her.
That's
I kind of
great.
love Terry Hatcher.
She is just great. Yeah.
I didn't even. Is there even a Lois Lane in Returns? That's what gets me.
I don't actually know.
I
can't remember.
I saw a page of live action Lois Lanes.
Right.
And I couldn't see one like where Superman Returns would be.
Yeah.
I'm like, there's the Reeves one. There's like Bitsy Tulloch. There's Amy Adams. Was there one in Superman Returns?
And like we haven't seen Smallville. So
we haven't seen Smallville, which I think is like a wound.
Maybe. I don't think I could get through it.
I think I could commit to it, but then I was big on the CW shows, so...
Yeah, I guess. Well, I've only committed to like Arrow, and I haven't even finished all of Arrow, so...
I would, like, there's levels to it. I'm sure we'll talk about stuff like this later, because there's a lot to be said about the CW shows, especially now that they're done.
Pretty much, yeah.
But, you know, I want to watch them all eventually, even the bad ones, because they do paint a complete picture.
Okay.
I do think, to give a quick summary now, like I think retrospectively, they fluctuate quite rapidly between really great and really bad.
Yeah.
But see, when they are great for the budget and the scale. And then their Crisis on Infinite Earths, I think is like something to be admired. I think it's monumental that they were able to pull off like an Endgame type TV show crossover that had like a great amount of effects, and then they just fired every character they could from like into that episode, and there were references all the way around it. They were like, you know, like they brought in, they were like, we Burt Ward's still alive, let's get him in for a line, and remember the crap ass Birds of Prey show, fucking get them in for a line.
Get that in, come on, why not?
The Smallville situations, that's a really defined Superman for a lot of people. A lot of people go back to Smallville.
10 seasons. People would like base their whole entire knowledge of Superman from that show.
Exactly.
No doubt.
And that one's a weird one because that's just got you know, I've seen clips of it and it's like, you know, like they're
a weird show.
Like they're Aquaman and they're like
Green Arrow.
They're Bart Allen.
Oh.
Like, skip Barry, skip Wally. Well, shoot the Bart. Like, okay.
Choices were made.
I really like Tom Welling.
Yeah.
There's in their Crisis on Infinite CW, they go to Smallville. Yeah. They go to like CW Smallville and it's got their, I think it's Tom Welling there.
Who does Tom Welling play in the CW show?
What do you mean in like
in the CW like verse, the Arrowverse?
He doesn't. He's only ever been in it once as Superman for Smallville.
Damn, I thought he was in it like as a character at some point.
Well, do you know what?
Because obviously they bring Routh back as the Atom.
Yes, Routh. Routh is back as the Atom, and to be frank, he's probably one of the best parts of the entire Arrowverse.
I would agree, yeah.
I'm not like, because you've seen enough of Arrow, so...
His tension, felicity, olicity.
Oh, don't.
I ship it, let's go.
You ship it?
I don't actually.
Please,
I don't actually
can
know.
you stop shipping it?
Of course it's Black Canary, but like, we didn't get that much, did we? We got a bit of it.
What do you mean, like Arrow?
Aye, yeah.
With,
yeah.
Well, it depends on your definition of Black Canary.
Like,
because you get like
a
you got a bit of it, but it's like we got like Sarah, Katie Lotz, and then
Yup.
she like transitioned to Legends, and then you had like
Yes.
Laurel, and then she was the Black Canary,
But
but they
then,
started
like-
messing about with Laurel as a character.
Exactly. So we never got the true one.
We never got the definitive.
Like, this is
Aye.
it. They're married now, it's
That's
over.
the issue with Felicity as well. Like
Yeah.
that's, if you're saying we're missing that, absolutely, yeah. They fucking put Felicity in and she was terrible, and it was like, no, like they had such a good thing going with like Laurel and Sarah, and then they kept saying, but then they had such a good thing going with Laurel and Oliver.
God.
They could have just developed.
Decide.
They didn't give him the fucking goatee.
Come on. Damn it.
But yeah, so I just checked. Their Tom Welling was actually only just Clark Kent.
Damn,
Their Lois was in it,
Right.
I believe, or another actress from it, because I think an actress for Smallville is in other shows.
Right.
Like I think the little girl who plays Supergirl on Smallville is one of the bad Brainiacs.
Okay.
In Supergirl the show,
Right.
season 1.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Okay.
Brainiac 9, I think, or Brainiac 7.
Bros too many Brainiac.
Or again, I'm not good with the Brainiacs. I only know Brainiac and Brainiac 5. Although I like Brainiac as a concept. With Lois, I'm just keen to see what they'll do and how they'll continue on the version I
Yeah.
like. But, you know, we, for better or for worse, we just don't really talk about Lois as much as we should. And I just
Yeah.
mean you and me. I mean, like, no, I don't really see a lot of people online talk about Lois.
Yeah.
Do you know what I
Again,
mean?
I don't know like any cool Lois stories, but I don't know any cool Superman stories really either. So
I think, you know,
I'm
Lois,
missing out here.
whether it's good or bad, is obviously the sort of is part of the Superman story.
Of course, yeah.
But it's just what you do with her.
Aye.
And she is these days really, she is her own type of, like, I say the headstrong reporter, while it sounds like a generic trope.
Yeah.
Something about how Lois Lane does it.
Right.
When I read like a comment with Lois Lane in it, or like I see like certain depictions, there's something special about her.
Okay.
I think one of the reasons is because she's always paired up with Superman, and she has like
Yeah.
funny flirty banter with Clark. And when she's with Superman, especially when she knows it's Clark and they're actually in love, it's such a solid. I don't ever see a lot of like petty relationship drama between Lois Lane and Clark Kent and Superman. I mean,
They try to keep out of it, right?
pretty much they just seem like professional, independent, intelligent individuals.
Right.
Which is great because you just don't see that enough.
No one wants that in their comics.
Pretty much. And I was going to say the last thing, which you might even have commentary on. So these two were cast. Nicholas Hoult
Oh man,
was reading for Superman, did not get cast.
Nicholas Hoult can't get the best roles.
He was
for
rejected from Batman as well.
Yes, exactly. I think he deserves something.
Well, he is apparently still up for Lex Luthor.
I don't know if I'd like him as Lex Luthor. Sorry, Nicholas.
He
Sorry.
deserves something, but not that one.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, he'd have been good as Batman, I think. I actually like him as Dick, to
Audibly
be fair.
squinted.
I do actually like him as Dick.
Grayson?
Aye. I think I could see that.
Yeah.
I could see that, I think.
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
actually more upset about Emma Mackey.
Yes.
Not getting Lois Lane.
You know what? I really wanted Emma Mackey
I'm
to
actually
Lois Lane.
more
But then I
upset
think
about
that's just because I like Emma Mackey.
Exactly, I want her to do so well in life.
Yeah. When I look at like pictures of Rachel Brosnahan and like see like clips of acting, I'm like, I
Yeah.
think you're going to be a good Lois Lane. I
Yes.
just like Emma Mackey personally.
Exactly. That was my entire feeling the whole time.
Who would
Nicholas Hoult be?
Nicholas Hoult be? In any capacity. What-
He could be a Lantern. I don't know if he's Hal. Because
Not Hal.
I'd like, what's his name? The
I
guy
think
that's in Maverick. Top Gun Maverick.
Miles Taylor?
Not Miles Teller, the other one. The one that's a dick.
You've
It's in that movie with Sydney Sweeney. The like new one that's coming out.
You've watched Maverick and I haven't.
I know, I can't remember his name though. Damn it.
I'll investigate that, but you want him to be Hal.
He would be a good Hal or a good Booster Gold. He's got that energy.
A good Booster Gold?
Yes.
I think Booster Gold should belong to like Nathan Fillion. But I mean, Nathan's getting a bit old these
old.
days, aye. Which is a shame.
Pratt could be Booster Gold. Pratt could be Booster Gold.
Someone cut his mic, cut the feed, bro.
My God.
Who let this man cook?
Let me cook.
Chris Pratt is Booster
I
Gold.
can see that.
That's.
Man has comedic chops.
I mean, I can see it, but like, doesn't mean I like looking at it. Like,
Working relationship with Jamie.
do you know
Jamie Gunn.
the name of the character in Maverick?
No. Show me the picture and I'll get you.
Show you the picture. I don't know. I'm trying to charades Top Gun Maverick to
Come
Graeme,
on.
and he's basically like
Jennifer Connelly. JK.
Jennifer Connelly.
JK.
Right, we got this gentleman.
That's it, Glenn Powell.
Glenn Powell.
Glenn Powell could be Hal Jordan or Booster Goldright. I think that would be, it'd be perfect for both characters. Yes, please.
I can see him as a Hal Jordan. In my head, like...
But I wouldn't be upset if Nicholas Hoult got it, and then he was Booster Gold. I'd be happy with that. That's my fan cast dream, though. So.
Wow, I just can't see Nicholas Hoult as him. It's just when you see Nicholas Hoult as Hal Jordan, I'm like, that's just so strange.
What is it that stopped me from like seeing Nicholas Hoult as someone like that?
Hal Jordan's, to me, he's a bit of a playboy.
Right,
not too much. He's not like Bruce Wayne, but this is going to sound wild. Obviously, the movie was terrible.
Man, but Green
like,
Lantern, though.
Ryan Reynolds would actually be the perfect Hal in my head.
Right, okay.
If he was in a good movie with a good script, directed by a good director, it could have actually been great.
Right.
I think he embodies what everything should be about it. He just was put in the worst possible position. Although I'm I'm living in a post Hal Jordan world mentally.
Damn.
Because I've told you this before, I don't like Hal Jordan, but I prefer Guy Gardner.
Right.
And I quite like Jon Stewart as well.
Jon Stewart, yeah.
I basically like every Green Lantern that's not Hal more than Hal.
Yeah, the only one I've read is Kyle Rayner.
I don't like Kyle that much.
Damn, man. But that's the only one I've read.
But okay, I've not really read
anything
I've seen
with Kyle. Jon Stewart in the Justice League cartoon.
Yes.
Which was great, so...
Yeah, the Justice League and Justice League.
Only have good things to say about that.
Mm-hmm. So I'd like to see like a Jon Stewart.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it's both. The show is Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart.
Well, apparently the show's all of them. Apparently the show's got Kyle and Guy as well.
And everyone?
Yeah. It's Green Lantern Corps, like plural.
Man, I thought it was just be the two of them. Damn, okay.
I think it's definitely a Guy Gardner. I swear they've cast the Guy Gardner.
Oh shit.
So I'm keen on that.
Okay.
So Nicholas Hoult, I might leave because I truly can't visualise him.
Maybe he's just gonna come back as like Beast or something.
Yes, because do you know who Nicholas Hoult should play? Beast.
He's great in like all the X-Men movies that he's in as Beast. So
I think he's quite good as
Beast.
Beast. I liked him as like young Hank. I thought he really did it well.
Yeah.
Maybe Deadpool 3 if that's a big Fox fest.
Maybe. Depends who we're gonna keep a take for that.
Pretty much.
I think they're waiting to see after all the cameos are in it what the reaction's like, who we want to keep.
Right. Okay.
That would be an idea, I think.
I've heard that for cameos we're not talking young X-Men, so like not.
It's like gonna be.
It's Marsden.
Yeah.
Stewart.
Fucking McKellen.
Aye.
Like that lot.
Fucking, I heard it's literally Famke Janssen and like fucking
January Jones.
Halle Berry.
Oh man,
January Jones.
January Jones, aye.
He just jumped out of his seat at January Jones. Is that Emma in First Class?
That is Emma Frost, yeah.
Oh, Kevin Bacon.
Kevin Bacon. Oh no.
Take Kevin Bacon back. I think. While I love the Guardians Christmas special, I think we've wasted Kevin Bacon on not being an actual character.
I agree. Yes.
I thought he was a great Sebastian Shaw. First Class, great movie.
First Class.
Do you know what I want it? Days of Future Past, great movie.
Also a great movie, yeah.
Sorry, what I keep wanting to say is, put Nicholas Hoult aside, who's Lex Luthor then, if not Nicholas Hoult? Because you said you couldn't see him.
If not him, I don't know. I need to put every actor in a bald cap to work it out, to be honest with you.
That's a lot of actors.
That's a lot of actors, that's a lot of bald caps.
I saw Bryan Cranston was saying that he's annoyed that people keep fan casting him as Lex Luthor because he's bald. And I'm like, look, Bryan, I don't want to be rude. We fan cast you as Lex Luthor because you're also an incredibly good actor.
Listen, yeah, but you
just also happen to look the part.
Who would be a good Lex Luthor? Shit, who's like super fucking man eye.
But do you know what? Maybe we can't talk about this because they keep bringing out actors that you wouldn't think would be a good Lex Luthor, and you're like, why have you cast them? And then they just suddenly are great. John Cryer is my favourite Lex Luthor. Fucking 3.5 Men is my favourite Lex Luthor. Michael Kudlitz, Abraham for The Walking Dead is Lex Luthor right now, and he's great apparently on Superman and Lois.
Well, I like Michael Kudlitz, so that's fine.
That's fantastic.
That is okay for me.
I love Abraham.
Abraham Chad.
That was probably one of the best adapted bits of The Walking Dead show from the comics.
I mean, I think the whole The Walking Dead that I've seen is great. I've not seen all yet.
I mean,
all
I've heard
of
it's
it I
quite
really
good.
like.
As far as I can tell, they obviously
there is no fall off.
Once once they reach the end of Rick's story.
Aye.
How much of that do you know?
Well, I don't know comic Rick's story ending. I know he leaves at like season 9 or something. 10.
So basically, once up to that point, it's pretty great. I mean, the Saviour stuff I could give or take, and the stuff at Terminus is completely original. They basically ebb in and out. I think they ebb in and out well, because they'll occasionally drop a great. The bit where they meet Father Gabriel in the church, that's beautiful. I think that was perfectly adapted to the comics. The bit with Abraham and all that, perfect for the comics in my head. Then like the Terminus is like completely new. The Saviours, I've said, was a bit long.
Because I can't remember reading much of that. Is it?
It's just not in it at all. Terminus is just not in the comics.
At all?
I think they just go for the prison to Father Gabriel, pretty much to Alexandria.
Right, okay.
There might be some fucking in between, because
I can't remember that.
I've not really sat and read them all, like end to end.
Aye.
And yeah, so Rick stays through at the end of the comics.
Yeah, aye.
And once Rick leaves in the show, while they do try and they get the Whisperers and they do the Whisperers well, but also different.
Yeah.
Apparently, it's not different bad. I've heard people say the Whisper stuff's good. The ending of the show's quite good, but it's definitively different from what they do in the comics and how they say it in the comics.
Right, okay.
But I think it works for the show.
Okay.
We should do a Walking Dead episode, I think.
I think so. I think it was such... Well, we'll just say it for the episode, I guess.
Oh, he's saying it. That's for the...
I could go for the Walking Dead.
We could talk about the Walking Dead. I need to maybe re-engage with it a wee bit, because it's been quite a while since I've watched that.
Yeah.
You want to finish it. I technically want to finish it,
We should maybe wait till I finish it.
I should rewatch it. It's been that long since I
Yeah.
stopped watching it. I stopped watching it when it was airing. Do you know what I mean? I just failed to keep up with it, and I just never get back into
I
it.
fell off, yeah, to be fair.
You fell off.
I fell off, man. As soon as Negan came in, I fell off.
You fell.
He killed me and Glenn.
Spoilers.
Well,
Spoilers.
old man.
Decade-old spoilers.
Come on.
Oh, man. Okay, well, yeah, so we wanted to catch up with that. It's pretty big news, the Superman Lois stuff.
Yeah, I'd say we had to kind of
And
nip that as soon as we could.
we had to talk about The Walking Dead, of course.
The
That
Walking
was
Dead.
important.
Come on. Stephen Yeun, the boy.
But for this episode, we're actually going to talk about something completely different.
Yeah,
Never something completely different.
we're gonna give you some gaming hype.
We're a bit on games. We do games. I want to do games.
Yeah.
Occasionally, I play a video game.
Now and again, yes, it happens.
It takes me
Been
about
known to happen.
7 months to complete one video game in this age.
Yes, they're making them longer.
Oh, God, they're making them longer, aye. Oh,
Terrible.
God of War Ragnarok.
Awful
Beautiful
people.
game. 500 years. And Graeme has recently purchased and is currently playing
I'm playing a game.
Final Fantasy 16.
Final Fantasy 16,
16.
the 16th installment in the Final Fantasy series.
And
Main line anyway.
like the first one he's ever played.
The first one I've ever played is the 16th one. They told me you don't need to play the previous 15. I beg to differ. I think you need to play all the 15
You
to
think
fully
you're missing
understand.
essential lore?
Exactly. I think you need to play 1 to 15 to fully understand 16.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely, we need to understand the original Sid.
Yes.
The original Sid is like the original sin. The original
And
Sid.
it's not Sin from 10, it's a different Sin. It's a different
Oh yeah,
Sin.
because Sin's in Final Fantasy.
Sin's
Sorry,
in
yeah,
10.
Sin's in Final Fantasy. Eject his sin,
Eject his Sin.
which he doesn't really know what that means.
I don't really know because I've not played the game.
Yeah, so this is one of the. So there's a two-part to this conversation.
Yes.
We'll talk about the game itself as a game. We'll be like reviewer cool people.
Yeah.
And the other half is really just us working out, talking about Final Fantasy.
I guess, yeah.
Because the first thing,
Uh-huh.
Graeme has only ever played a little bit of Final Fantasy 7 and he's playing Final Fantasy 16.
What I've done, I've kind of done you just
doing
consume
me.
things through osmosis.
Yes.
So you just like know One Piece without having consumed One
One
Piece.
Piece, for example, I've watched copious amounts of lectures about One Piece, but I've never once in my head watched an episode of One Piece. I've read some leaked chapters, like I've been reading the newest chapters, which are like 1050.
Yeah,
So I'm
yeah.
getting in at the ground level.
Yeah, exactly. Jumping in right in the middle of the
And
pool.
you think you're saying you've osmosed?
I think so, yeah. I know things, like everyone knows what happens in Final Fantasy 7. I won't say it in case you somehow don't know what happens in Final Fantasy 7, like the big spoiler, right?
Got your beans, Cloud.
Yes, the beans. Of course, the beans. Yeah, so things like that, I know. 10 is like a good game, emotional, all that jazz. I know the base story. That's about it though, of like deep knowledge that I could speak about. I can speak about generally the other ones, but I wouldn't be able to tell you like crazy stuff about them.
Yeah, Graeme, we summarise it there. Like I've not played it. I've literally not played any actually.
Yeah.
You've even played more than me.
I've played games.
In this day and age, scenes like.
Oh, scenes.
Alright, we osmose. This is a thing more about me than Graeme, I'd say, although you've been doing a bit of osmosing.
Yes.
We're osmosis
I'm known
behaviour.
to osmose.
We're osmosing all over the place. Osmosis.
Osmosis.
When I don't really think I have the time to really get into something, I like to let other people tell me about it.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy is one where I've done a lot of that.
Yeah.
I'd recommend the PCP lecture on Final Fantasy, which is up to and including 15. That's my best guy ever. I watch that literally like maybe once every 2 or 3 months just to refresh my knowledge.
Just to keep on top of it.
And it's a lot of like lore and summary and funny memes and that, so you're not
Yeah.
exactly getting a deep story. But then I watch other things. Black Oni Mage does I think that's his YouTube name. It is a series called Recapitation,
Right, okay.
which is the opposite. It's like
It's
literally
deep
like
to the
50, 60
pixel.
minutes of just here is beat for beat what happens at every point in the game.
Yeah, right.
Because it's just easy for me to consume that. And I do that a lot more than Graeme does.
You're much better at retaining the information as well.
Yeah, we've said that you
I think I like
do-
retain the feeling more than the knowledge of it.
you
Something
do,
like
you're
that.
quite emotional. I think it was like you do, but I
Yeah.
remember.
Yes.
Like I don't ever do it, but I suck it in.
Yeah.
I suck that gut in.
Oh.
So yeah, it's not going to be quite as much like a. Remember Final Fantasy, Graeme? We're not going to
Yeah.
do that type of conversation because we don't.
We don't actually remember it. We were not there for it.
We literally were not there for it. But we're going to first off grill Graeme.
We're going to grill me. I'm going to tell you things.
We'll talk about the game. So,
I'm going to review a game. IGN, hit me up.
IGN 7.8, too much idolins.
No, hit me at a 9, I don't know.
Oh man, they loved it. It's a great game.
It's a great game. I agree, it's a great game. Yeah.
What I want to start with
Hit me.
is, with all that knowledge of how we've never once in our life played a Final Fantasy game and we have absolutely no idea about Final Fantasy.
Yes.
Graeme, why did you buy and play Final Fantasy 16?
Listen, let me tell you, let me walk you through a story. Man, I seen the first trailer. I thought, this game looks okay. And then they started coming out with like the like weird title trailers with like Vengeance, like fucking Retribution, shit like that, right? And it looked crazy. Like that's when the big icon fights were like kind of like shown.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my god, big kaiju monsters fighting each other in the face. That seems cool. That seems like a good time.
Oh, I fucking love monsters.
Yeah.
Godzilla vs Kong, hit me up.
So that was in the back of my head, and I've always been like, Final Fantasy.
Oh,
Like
Final Fantasy.
Final Fantasy.
What a picture.
That's like one of the things you could say to someone who doesn't know anything about gaming and they'd be like,
Final Fantasy.
honestly, I kind of know what you're talking
How's
about.
Sephiroth?
Exactly, yeah. So it's kind of like an allure of that, like, oh, I could like get into Final Fantasy. This could be a thing I'm into now.
Because it's always floating in the back. I mean, we as people who like games,
Yeah.
it's not like we don't.
I mean, before 16, I've purchased 7 Remake and Crisis Core.
He owns Crisis Core
But have
Remake.
not
He
played
owns
them.
7 Remake. I own 10, no
Right.
9. You
Right.
got me 9 basically as a birthday present because I
Yeah.
wanted it.
Uh-huh.
You got me the Switch store credit so I could download and play it. And
Yes.
I own it. I don't play it.
Yes.
I have the PlayStation Plus version of like 7 Remake. Like we own them because we always, even separate from each other.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy is a really big deal for gaming.
It's one of the, like, I don't know what you'd call it, flagship maybe.
Flagship's probably the best.
Yeah, it's like if you're gonna
iconic.
Aye. So if you're gonna like show if like a caveman unfrozen today, right?
Oh my god.
If he was unfrozen.
Captain America
Yes,
has
right.
came out the ice.
No, what's that movie with Brendan Fraser?
What's that movie? The Mummy.
Where he's a caveman and he's unfrozen. Do you know
Oh,
what I'm talking about?
that was the one where he says the racially insensitive stuff.
Is that it? That could be it, to be fair, yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I mean,
Seems like it would be
I
it,
don't want to reiterate the
saying
bit,
the racial
but
slur.
I can't remember the name of the movie. I'm sorry.
That movie, people, right? You know,
Yeah.
listener, you know.
The movie with Brendan Fraser. where he says
Exactly.
racially insensitive stuff.
He's unfrozen, we're in charge, right? We sit him down, we're like, listen, have you heard the games? And he's like, what the fuck's that?
What is a video game?
Literally, we're going to show him like Mario, we're going to show him like Pokemon probably, we're going to show him Final Fantasy. Like,
Final
it's a
Fantasy,
game you'd probably
yeah.
show people to say this is what games are and can be.
But that's weird because we've also never played them.
Literally, I have no idea what I'm talking about, so.
I suppose quickly before we get to it into like 16, then talking about that, I love Chrono Trigger.
Right.
I think Chrono Trigger is one of the best games ever made, which is pretty much in the zone of Final Fantasy. It's a JRPG.
Uh-huh.
You know, it's pixel art, great music. Toriyama. Have you really played any JRPGs? Like, you've not played Final Fantasy. Have you played like Final Fantasy?
Yes, I've played and beat Dragon Quest 1.
Okay.
I've played a lot of Dragon Quest 9 on the DS. Other JRPGs I've played. I've played a bit of Octopath Traveler. I played quite a bit of Bravely Default but never finished it, which is to my shame because that game was quite good.
It was a fantastic game, but you also quit at the bit where it repeats the same chapter 4 times in a row.
Yes. Other JRPGs I've played. Pokemon, if you count that, I guess you would probably.
Technically, I suppose not so much RPG, but it's sort of adjacent.
Yeah.
I'd say Pokemon couldn't exist without Final Fantasy. Because like the original Final Fantasies were like the original turn-based combat.
I guess, yeah.
Not the originals, but Dragon Quest is the original. But like, did you not play Dragon Quest 11 at all? I thought you played a bit of that.
Played a bit of 11, but not as much.
I need to play Echoes of the Elusive Age. Apparently that's impeccable.
I've no doubt it's probably like where the pinnacle of it.
It's big though.
Yeah, it's massive, aye.
Humongous.
That's like the problem with the games.
That is. There's just so goddamn much to play.
Big game fear.
At least for me, these days, I have to pick and choose what games to play because it takes me so long to get through that. When I play a game, I absorb. I go through every nook and cranny, I stick my face in every corner, I read every note, I try my best to do every single thing. So the bigger a game is, the scarier it is to me, unless it's a pressing game.
Yeah.
So God of War Ragnarok is huge, but I was like, oh, I really like 2018. It's out, it's new, it's fresh.
Everyone's talking about it. I have to be in the conversation.
Exactly. Like if it was like a decade from now and I hadn't even played 2018 yet, I'm not really going to be thinking about it.
Yeah.
I'd be like, oh, I'll get to it eventually.
Yeah, exactly. Put it on the list.
But yeah, like Final Fantasy, there's never been something it's like, oh god, I have to get into this now.
Yeah.
But I want to.
I'm feeling that now. I felt it when 7 Remake was coming out because it felt like a moment in gaming as a whole. Kind of like the original felt like, well, I was born when it came out, right? So I wasn't really there for it.
Yeah.
But all the gaming,
we weren't alive for it.
Yeah. But all the gaming like discourse after it that I was like getting into and like I started watching YouTube and stuff was like Final Fantasy 7 when it came out changed gaming forever. And I wasn't there for that. but I'm here for a remake, so I might change it again.
That's a really good way of looking at it. I think that's a really brilliant and fascinating way of looking at it. Yeah. I mean, even if it doesn't change it, it's still a monumental moment.
Gaming, I think, I mean, this is getting more into the general gaming topic that I don't know if we want to stray onto in this episode, but it's like gaming's like a really new medium that's only 40 years old, 50 years old maybe.
Yeah, I'd say.
Movies are at least 100.
Yeah.
So you look at the sort of terminology and the discourse around it, it's going to be a lot different. And we're using film terms to kind of describe it, which makes sense because it's almost film-like. But there's a lot of terms that you can't use, like ludonarrative dissonance can be used for films, but it's like very applicable to gaming.
Yeah, I get exactly what you're saying. What's interesting is, I don't want to, again, because we could talk a lot about certain things like that, so I don't want to burn too much time, but I say mostly because we could literally offshoot into whole discussions.
We're on it now. Like.
It's almost as if games are sometimes pushing to be films.
Exactly. That's where I actually push back.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I'm not saying anything against cinematic games, to be fair. Like, Last of Us...
Like, they've done great things, and they will continue to do great things.
I don't want it to be the gold standard.
I don't think that's the best game ever made.
Yes.
Because it's not... I don't think it's game enough.
I actually don't even like the gameplay of Last of Us that much. I think the story's fantastic, but every time I have to do, like, a fucking stealth section, I rip my dick off.
Right.
It's just really funny when you said about the movie thing, because I'm like, games were so weird and interactive. Interactivity is the main thing.
That's the point of it.
Aye. And now we're almost going back to it. We're now doing what we can to be cinematic in that.
Yeah.
Which is, it might be I think it's a little bit of a weird interaction with how we look at gaming as an art form.
Yes.
Like, I feel like there's not, people still don't quite respect gaming as an art form enough.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if it's like, well, now the perceived prestige is cinema.
Mm-hmm.
All these games that are getting really high reviews and like The Last of Us is the best game ever, and it's the most like a film a game's ever been.
Exactly, yeah.
And that's not good. It's almost as if, well, look at it, we've finally had a prestige game. And it's a fucking film.
Yeah.
So like, so that's obviously related to, in general, this idea of like Seven and the idea of the moment and that.
Yeah.
There's a lot really to tap into there. And I think we might even come back to that this episode or another episode.
Yeah.
But let's talk about Final Fantasy 16.
Yeah. Let's get into 16 a bit.
So how are you feeling about it?
I'm really enjoying my time with you, and I'm about 20 hours in.
20 hours in, okay.
As far as I can tell, that's about halfway through the story. But I'm doing like all the side quest stuff as I go, so I don't know, and I've got a lot to do. Like, I've got the kind of the mission now, what I need to do in the story. Okay. And I've got a lot to do, so I don't think I'm halfway through at all.
Oh, I see.
I'm much less than halfway.
I see. It's one of those where it opens up a bit, and you're like, I think I'm halfway through, and you're like, a quarter.
I finished Act 1, I think, and I was like, oh, this is probably like a 3-act game, right? It's probably like a 5-act game. So, I've not done that much, to be honest.
Oh, he's got the whole rest of the play to go.
Exactly. But it's I'm really enjoying it. Saying that thing, like, I don't like games that are too cinematic, is very controversial because it is quite cinematic.
You immediately just betrayed himself. The hypocrisy is overwhelming.
That is it. I am a hater, born hypocrite. That's me. Yeah, it's very cinematic, and I'm going to say in a good way. I enjoy it. I'm playing it, but the gameplay has been a source of much contention across Final Fantasy fans. I don't know if I can call myself that yet.
Are we Final Fantasy fans?
Are we even Final Fantasy fans? Yes, but the gameplay's been a source of much contention. It's raised such concerns as, is this even a Final Fantasy game anymore? Mm-hmm. Who knows at this point?
Yeah, so because what it is the gameplay obviously for 16 is I mean, it's almost hack and slash. Is there even a menu?
Yeah, it's much more character action as a kind of title of a genre that you could call Bayonetta and Devil May Cry. Can I put them in that?
It makes me like a Devil May Cry.
Yeah, well, the designer of Devil May Cry worked on 16.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And I think they had someone from Platinum Games as well.
Okay.
Which
the Platinum Games
makes sense.
You love the Platinum Games.
They're the best at it, I think. Play Nier.
Play Nier. Play
Bayonetta.
Bayonetta.
Yeah.
That's because I couldn't remember Bayonetta there. He's the Bayonetta guy, not me.
They had a hodgepodge of like directors. They had them from like, and they had some other studios as well come in and help. And of course they had Creative Business Unit 3. Yeah. Which done 14, revived 14.
Yeah, save 14
MMO,
basically. Yeah.
So it's a crazy mixture of people, and I think that's maybe what makes it so good, because it feels quite focused in its goal, what it's trying to do.
So you're like, even though it's a hodgepodge of like maybe people, you think that all the ideas are blending.
Yeah, definitely. Like the mission statement, like they wrote the game in English.
Right. Okay. I didn't know
then
that
they translated it to Japanese because they wanted it to be more Game of Thrones. They wanted that as a serious inspiration.
I heard all this.
And it would like read better, I think, translating it to Japanese from English. Mm-hmm. Like they get more the nuance of it, I think, doing something like that. And in regards to like the combat, it's so focused on being that character action, over the top, flashy kind of thing, that it works really well in its favour, I think.
Okay.
because they really commit to it in every way.
That's fair. I think so I was asking, like, so there's no like menu then, there's no like a wee side menu, like, or a pause menu.
There is no ATB, no.
Yeah, there's no sort of, because
There's UI, but it's not like pause and it'll slow time like in 7 Remake, and you can select
I
a
was going to
spell.
say compared to how
and
7
that.
Remake plays.
Yeah, 7 Remake's like a half step, and I think that's more acceptable for fans. And I think
I think
that's the only way
7
to
Remake's
do.
almost as much like 15.
Aye, that's the only way to do 7 Remake, I think, because if they'd just done it turn based, I don't think it'd be as successful as it was.
That's true. In the modern era,
Yeah.
if you're going to remake it, you need to like do it like they
Like
weren't-
I think playing Final Fantasy 7 Remake is how people imagine playing 7.
Okay. Do you mean the experience you get from playing 7 Remake is
Aye. Like see when they hit Limit Break, whatever, Cloyd's sword, they were like picturing that move that he does.
holy shit, I love Cloud Strife.
Yeah, I'm thinking we were picturing that move when he done it.
Right.
Like in their head, they're like, oh, he just done that fucking cool flip and shit.
Okay.
But he obviously didn't. He just fucking moved across the screen. 5 pixels.
Man, I suppose it is like it's, back then that's what their graphics like for us. This is now what our graphics are like.
Yes.
Just where 16 and 7 Remake and 16, they are beautiful games.
They are gorgeous games, yeah.
What do you think? You know, when you this discourse
Uh-huh.
about what again? Obviously, we're not Final Fantasy fans. As well, it's
Yeah.
a weird one. So I don't know if we're able to dictate it. But
Aye.
what do you think a Final Fantasy game is then?
That's a tough one, to be honest with you. I think that the series has always been about evolution and sort of pushing a boundary of some sort, either gameplay wise, story wise, or like visually. So I don't think this is actually that surprising. Like if you go from 9 to 10,
Yeah.
it's a crazy wild jump. It doesn't make any sense.
Well, this is where Ewan's ridiculously deep well of knowledge is going to come into play.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to look at Final Fantasy as it develops. Final Fantasy originally was basically we want to do Dragon Quest because Dragon Quest made a lot of money.
Yeah.
I
It's
see
mad successful.
Well, yeah, it makes sense, and
Did
you
you
know,
even diss it in one of the games?
I'm pretty sure they do, but again,
It's like a grave or something with the guy.
I swear there is. I think they're 100%.
And then when they merged Enix and Squaresoft, they changed it to Link.
And they did, they actually did. God, I know what you're talking about. I don't remember the exact details, but I swear you're right. Yeah, so I'd say 1 till about
5.
5. Yeah, 1 to 5 are all very
Fantasy.
Yeah, they're very fantasy. They're not quite as like a full evolution, but you know, they're more like. It seems like they were really good at grafting and like a really good core experience.
Yeah.
Especially both taking what they learned from Dragon Quest, but then also just themselves trying to build up their own sort of mythos.
Have a
and
job
that.
system. All this.
Stuff like the job
We can
system, and
level
then
up the class.
the aesthetic conventions as well, the magic styles, the recurring characters, the Muggles, the Chocobos,
The
Sids,
summons.
yeah, Eidolons, Icons, fucking
Whatever they're called.
whatever they call them in every game. They've all got wild names.
Yeah.
Well, they're called, what are they called in? They're called, I don't know. They've just got weird names. Anyway, I like that they're always there and they're always the same people. It's always Bahamut, it's always Rama.
Yeah.
But this time he's an Eidolon, this time he's an Icon, this time he's an Aeon.
Yeah.
Like, I love that. But then you get to 6.
Yes.
And 6 is like, I feel like 6 is one of the biggest ones where they push the aesthetic.
6 is like the wee mechy one, right?
6 is the one where like the fucking, you get the crazy clown and you get the steampunk. And that's not the other ones weren't steampunk. I think there's bits in 5. 4's get the fucking aliens on the moon.
Aye.
Like,
We're
you know,
going all the way out.
there's literally some crazy stuff, but I think what 6 done is it really honed in more than I think any other game on the character-driven side of the narrative.
Right.
Again, the other games did have bits. 4, again, I say 4's got a really good story and all that,
Right.
but I think 4 was the first ever big successful attempt at a character-driven one.
Right.
1 and 3 were generic party members.
Aye.
2 had named characters, and there is a story. 4 was like, okay, we got characters, there's a story,
Yeah.
people are feeling things. And then you get to 5 as well, but then 6 was like, no, 6 was like grander narratives
There's
and
a
affairs.
story
and that.
in here.
And I don't know what really was going on. I want to know what was going through their heads at that period. Going from 5 to 6 to then 7.
Yeah. Well, I think there's a clear break in the sections. Like you can tell 7, 8, 9
Yes.
or 6, 7, 8, 9.
Because what happened is 7 was obviously the first one on the PlayStation.
Yep.
They were like, we're going to jump away from pixel art, we're going to do a 3D. render. And you, as we made clear, redefined the fucking genre.
Yes.
Video games just was not the same after the fact.
Apparently, man.
What you can do with visuals, gameplay, music, aesthetic.
Yeah.
And then 8 was like, let's just keep trying to do it.
Yeah.
Then what's interesting about you
9.
probably heard it in the video, was that 9, 10 and 11
Yes.
were all developed
Same time.
pretty much the same time.
Concurrently.
9 was the throwback one.
Yeah. It was a celebration of the previous
It was more
8 games.
maybe a bit steampunky, but also a lot more fantasy.
Yeah.
10 was the next major step.
Yeah.
10
That's
was
the new evolution.
PS2.
Yep.
I pushed the visuals, pushed the story concept.
Yeah.
What's interesting to me is going from high fantasy turn-based combat to
the ATV.
high concept
Uh-huh.
fantasy-fi, sci-fantasy.
Ooh.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get what you mean, yeah.
10, for example, has got this weird, like, it's spiritual. 10 is spiritual as all hell.
Aye.
But, like, there's also, like, just, we got, like, orbs that have, like, memories in them, and we all play, like, underwater football, and
Yeah, like
there's,
I don't know,
ancient machines.
it is more sci than fantasy.
Well,
But is it? Because they don't have much science.
I guess it's what do you define as fantasy?
It's a hard one to nail down, 10, I'll give you.
Yeah, 10's a really eclectic aesthetic.
Aye.
I'll tell you, 12
Uh-huh.
is a bit more like sci-fi and fantasy. 12's like seafaring, like ha huzzah. It's almost like 12 is like 10 if 10 was more sci-fi.
Right, okay.
Sorry, 9 if 9. 12 was like 9
Right.
if 9 was more sci-fi.
Okay.
Because 12 really leans much more at steampunk. There's a lot more like airships and like technological marvels.
Aye.
But the problem is, steampunk in my head is less sci-fi than actual sci-fi.
Right.
13
Aye.
is sci-fi.
Right, yeah.
13's time travel, giant cities, robot gods.
Let's do it all.
Like, we're all out. And, you know, that's where I think of the evolution in Final Fantasy, for better or for worse. It is the transition of the... I mean, first off, the pushing the limits of the game.
Aye.
Like 7 to 10. I mean, whether it's good or bad, to 13.
Yeah.
And then the strange direction of the aesthetic, the transition from fantasy to gritty to just
Like realism.
high concept, realistic,
Yeah.
like deeply weird narratives. But I don't mean weird like oh wacky, strange. I mean like
Yeah.
so conceptual. They're very conceptual.
Yeah.
I
People,
feel like
I mean, I've heard people say, like, every ending's just too high concept. Like, it's very difficult to understand. All the plot threads coming together to come to a
13
resolution.
and 15 are like I don't think I get them. You know, if you sit them down a lane, I get them. But there's
Aye.
a lot of like there's just a lot to them.
Right, yeah.
And that's like I don't think you need to go that far. Even like some of the better, like more respected ones, like 10's get a sort of strange ending in my head, and especially what happens with like 10-2 and then the
Then they've got a book between it, and then they've got
like
10-2.
the book that was like the cancelled game.
They have a show.
8's got a strange ending. I don't really care for the ending of 8.
So I don't know how it
All it's get weird stuff about how like
That is weird timey-wimey bullshit, right?
time travel bullshit
Aye.
and like the main villain was like we all knew her at the orphanage and we all went to the same orphanage but we all forgot except for one guy who just didn't tell us.
What a
And,
dick, man.
like Titan compression where like all of time happens in a moment.
Oh, man.
I think it just depends on the way the game goes up to that point because
Right,
you know
yeah.
I think you can tolerate schlock if you're having a good enough time, and if the schlock can still be conceivably followed.
Yeah.
Case in point, Kingdom Hearts is one of my favourite game series of all times. First or second favourite game series of all time.
To be fair, we can't talk about Final Fantasy without talking about Kingdom Hearts.
That's a good point. I mean, yeah, we need to mention it here. Of course, Kingdom Hearts is a collaboration between Disney and Square Enix, which is basically, can we just do a Disney Final Fantasy?
Yeah.
Although Kingdom Hearts, I feel like very dramatically went in a different direction. Kingdom Hearts like started with like the active time battle system, which honestly kind of reminds me of 7 Remake, mostly of anything. When I say 7 Remake, I'm
Yeah.
sure there's other Kingdom Hearts games that really go for it, but when I look at gaming clips, I'm like, that's just how Kingdom Hearts does it. It's
It happens in real time.
yeah, you're basically fighting, and you've got a
And you
menu to
swap the
choose
menu.
other things and
Yeah.
keybinds and that, but really the things there's no turn based. I guess the only difference is like you still the menu's still how you attack.
Yeah.
Like you're when you're attacking with the X button,
You need to have your own attack.
yes, you're
Yeah.
on the attack option. But Kingdom Hearts, I think, very dramatically and rapidly went in its own direction, which was under the guile of the madman Tetsuya Nomura, who is just a I think of Tetsuya Nomura in the way that the gaming industry thinks of fucking Hideo Kojima. I think that guy's a fucking maverick visionary, and I think he should be
Yes,
just allowed to
maybe.
cook and just see what he comes up with.
But you should never cook on Final Fantasy again, though.
Hey, no. Nomura gets a bad rap on Final Fantasy. A lot of his issues weren't even his own. You get taken off versus 13
Probably
for
not.
many like silly reasons.
Versus 13 was 15 because it was just development issues.
Yeah, 15 itself wasn't really Nomura. 16 wasn't Nomura. A lot of people pretend that like 16 is like, oh fuck Nomura. I
Nothing
think
to
if
do with
Nomura
it.
was involved with this, it's like nowhere near as high as you think he is. Tetsuya Nomura didn't snap his fingers and make a new Final Fantasy.
Aye.
I'd say he does that for Kingdom Hearts. He snaps his fingers and he generates
now
like a
making-
DS spin-off of
Aye, an app game that you need to
the
play.
fucking you need to play. It's
understand
literally
the
critical
plot.
to the lore.
Yeah.
And yet, that I mean, I've said it, but I can tolerate that.
Yeah.
So I can tolerate guff if I like what's building up to the guff.
Yeah.
Which is maybe why 13 gets a lot of bad rap, because 13 is just for like overly complicated codex entries and unlikable
See, well, that's
characters.
where I think 16's learned from the mistakes, because 13's codex entries are like integral, but they never tell you about it. They at least give you like a wee. By the way, there's lore And if you want to stop the game at any time,
If you need a refresher,
even during a cutscene, which would be very awkward but funny.
I just love that you can pause cutscenes and just like,
Literally.
oh, who's this again?
Who's John in the corner here?
Who's like, oh,
Yeah.
it's David, kind of like Bambolia, and
Yeah.
he's the icon of Ifrit.
Exactly. So that's good that they still have the codex entries. You can speak to fucking Tooms, the guy, in your hideaway, and he's going to tell you about the lower entries that you missed, or just ones that you didn't look
Well,
at.
I think what's interesting is like 13 was one of those games that where it's like the lower is in the entries. Like if you don't read the entries, you're not getting it. Would you say 16 tells you enough anyway?
Aye.
And you're sort of like, oh, I can maybe go for a touch up, or I can stand to learn a bit more.
Yeah. Everything I've seen so far, I've understood from like cues in the actual interaction, or just from like the world or whatever. I've
And
not,
that's really
not,
great.
like, had to look into the lore and like what is that, and I understand it. I've just kind of got it.
Okay. Well, I think that's really good. Especially, I mean, they probably are hearing like the people who get issues with like 13's convoluted lore, and then I know 15 also had the development issues. I think then to loop it back,
Go on.
Final Fantasy for me, I actually refuse to try and define it. I think it's
What if you were going to define it? I think you'd agree it evolves.
yes.
It tries to do its own thing every time.
It can't be defined by what it is. It's always what
Yeah.
it could be or what it will become.
Yeah.
It's self-sufficient now.
Right.
16 mainline games, and that's not counting like remake spin-offs, fucking
Yeah.
side games. So like at this point now, if it's got Final Fantasy on it, it's a Final Fantasy game.
I would agree, yeah.
So that's why I'm like, people are like, oh, 16 isn't Final
I think
Fantasy.
it's a
and I'm
dumb
like,
take, to be fair, yeah.
yeah, I've always believed that. Like, I don't believe in the whole this isn't an X game, or like it's a good but it isn't a good game.
Yeah.
If it's got its name on it, unfortunately, whether you like it or not, it is one of them. And it is Final Fantasy. Whether you like it or not, 16 is a Final Fantasy game.
Yeah.
It's just what sort of is it done? What is its similarities and what is its differences? You know, and how much do you personally enjoy that? Not in comparison. But that's why it's kind of good that Final Fantasy isn't like a consecutive game. Do you know what I mean?
Aye.
If 15 was a direct sequel to 16, you'd be a lot more apt to compare them.
Yeah, of
But
course.
in my head, I'm like, well, I know that 16 is not going to be like 15 because 15 isn't like 13 and 13
Yeah.
is not like 10. You know what I mean? Or like 12. There's similarities.
Yeah.
There's always a Sid, there's always a Moogle, but the actual raw gameplay and the story and
Aye.
that, they do always try something just different enough where I'm like, yeah, okay. Unless it's like a direct sequel and then
Yeah.
you have 13, 13, 2 and then Lightning Returns Final Fantasy 13, which is
Precisely.
you go down that hill, which, I mean, I said hellhole. I'm not saying Final Fantasy games shouldn't have sequels, but when they do have, it's strange. You get the compilation of 7 with
Yeah.
like Dirge of Cerberus and Crisis Core, which is just unnecessary lore nonsense.
Yeah, well, I think they were like, this is our biggest title.
Yeah, that was like, we can
It's
make
the
money
most
off this.
bankable.
I think that was sort of, I might be wrong, but that might be coming off of the Spirits Within era,
Maybe.
which was a massive, like nearly just
Yeah.
destroyed Square Enix.
Aye.
I think it's still Square at this
Well, I'm
time.
thinking I think they're righting the wrongs of it with the Rebirth project.
Yeah, everything's, I mean, I don't really know how much, Crisis Core is a weird one. The remake of Crisis Core is literally...
I don't know if it actually, like Reunion, if it actually factors in much, or if it was just, we could do this easily, and if we slap the remake title on it, they might think it's part of it more more.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, I suppose we might need to see in the back half. Going off of like
yeah.
Remake 1 and
Aye.
the DLC, they just seem to be like finding all these elements from those other games and incorporating them in a sort of an interesting way, but like sort of making them palatable.
Right.
Like Deep Ground and like
Integrated
the
is better than
Spheres.
it ever was in
Yeah, like
Cerberus or
there,
whatever.
there's just like, oh, there's experiments and yeah, the Spheres are here. Sometimes I think about certain concepts that I'm like, I think, you know, they're not that bad. Like the Deep Ground and Spheres are funny in concept.
Right.
Because, so like, I'm sorry, we're just shouting words at it, but basically in Final Fantasy VII, there's like a corporation who has like a cool secret soldier program. In one of the spin-offs they reveal, there's an even cooler secreter program under the ground called Deep Ground.
Deep Ground.
They're led by the Sviets, who are a bunch of like weird people with like color-coded names. And in the game, Dirge of Cerberus, it's just kind of like, oh, by the way, look, we opened up a hole in the ground and found an entire section of super secret soldiers under the ground.
Let's go.
In the remake and in the DLC, it's sort of like, no, they are there and they're sort of involved and they've got their own thing going. I honestly think they shouldn't make it relevant to the plot.
Of course not.
Maybe just make it a spin-off, like, oh, it turns out Shinra was working on a spin-off of the soldier called Deep Ground.
Like when you get Vincent in the part 3,
Have Vincent have like a side story about Dirge of
he's
Cerberus.
got a DLC kind of quest or something like that.
Crisis Core's another one. Crisis Core is like the spin-off about a character called Zack, who is like, technically he's kind of in 7. He's really important to the story of 7.
Yeah.
But he's not in 7 really that much. He's like his impact is more important than him physically being in 7.
Aye.
And they remade Crisis Core, but the Crisis Core remake is actually just a flat remake of the game.
Yeah.
Crisis Core,
The
the
plot's
same
the
plot
same. All that's fine.
with all the issues that come with that.
Yeah.
Like, for example, I'm sure a lot of us know who Sephiroth is.
Yeah.
Sephiroth is the big evil bad guy. The Sephiroth.
Capital S Sephiroth.
The big deal bad guy
The
for
one-winged angel himself.
edgy sword guy fighting Cloud Strife, the protagonist of 7.
Yes.
In Crisis Core, they basically were like, oh, Sephiroth is a little baby girl, and he's got a bigger brother who's a cooler Sephiroth called Genesis, and he's played by Gact, because Gact, the musician, likes Final Fantasy. And it turns out that Zack also had a cool big brother called Angel, who gave him the sword, because the sword has to have a fucking origin story.
This sword, by the way. That sword.
That is this sword. And like in Final Fantasy 7, the Buster Sword's just the fucking sword that Cloud has.
Literally.
He got it from Zack.
Literally.
But they were like, no, Zack got it from Angel, and Angel has to imbue it with all his hopes and dreams, and his parents had it specially. I don't fucking care. So I don't really want Crisis Core. Is Crisis Core Reunion in it?
Yeah.
Yeah, Crisis Core Reunion, the remake of Crisis Core, doesn't. I don't really know why they remade it, because I don't want it to factor in, unless I'm not going to talk about spoilers.
Unless we somehow make it better in part 2 and 3.
Well, yeah, unless the timeline nonsense that they're doing with 7 remake, unless it factors into that.
Right. Okay.
I'd rather, it's like me and DC, I'd rather just clean slate it. 7 remake is a great start. They've already taken the elements and they're like, we can just work it in a better way. But as long as you focus on the core of 7,
Aye.
especially because, as I say, these side games made the lower of 7 like fucked up and weird.
Aye.
And they added like shit and it didn't matter, and they continued past the end of 7 and ruined a lot of like what the emotional core of the actual ending of 7 had to say, without going into major spoilers, basically. And that's, I was talking in general also about sequels, because while we know a lot about 7, there's the others. There's 13 and 10.
Yeah.
Again, 10's a really weird spiritual game. 10-2 is a Charlie's Angels Pop Idol Hatsune Miku game.
Yeah.
Where you like give people massage. There's like a massage mini game, and you like all your powers are based on your clothes.
Okay, base.
So you like do dress up with Yuna, who
Nice, based Yuna.
Yuna was like a priest in the first one.
She was, yeah.
And then 13's the weird one, because 13 just kept getting better. Everyone agrees that the third 13 game is the only good 13 game.
But you have to play the first 2 though.
You do have to play the first 2, but then
that's the issue.
they're like almost weirdly different games. 13-1 is like a trek through like this weird fucking sci-fi hellscape. 13-2 is like a time travel game, but I'd say it's the most time travel. It's literally like you keep jumping between timelines, and you change something in one past and you go to the future and it's different.
Oh shit.
And then 13-3, or sorry, Lightning Returns Final Fantasy 13,
Yes.
is like Lightning is now God's chosen
Base.
and has to redeem the souls of all the people on Earth, because the world is going to end in like 13 days.
What are you worried about, man?
And everyone's like, oh yeah, that's the good one.
That is the best one.
So
this is Final Fantasy.
yeah, maybe. I guess to me, the only things that are really Final Fantasy are the mainline games and like some of the good spin-offs.
Right.
Final Fantasy Tactics is beloved. Tactics 1 is like great, although it's like, I don't know, it's literally just the War of the Roses, but with like some magic in it.
Hey ho.
So, do you know what, maybe, you know, as a Kingdom Hearts fan, you're going to take the good with the bad.
Come on, yeah, you can't moan.
I know people who like Dirge of Cerberus. I mean, they hate it, but they like it. It's fun to play to them, even though it's like, oh, it's a guilty pleasure. It's a guilty pleasure.
There you go.
So I think all that's to say that the complaint, that, you know, what is a Final Fantasy game?
Yeah, I think it's a bit mid.
Yeah.
Shit take.
And it's not going to, like, Final Fantasy 16 being different from 7 isn't going to retroactively do anything for 7.
Exactly.
Just go play 7. Go play 6. The Pixel Remaster collection's coming out soon.
Go play
That's
that.
like 1 to 5.
Yeah.
You know?
Go have fun with that.
You can get like, or like 1 to 6, I think, and you can get 7, you can get 7 Remake, 8's available, 9, you can get them all.
9, yep.
There's like, I don't think there's a single Final Fantasy game you can't play, except maybe, funnily enough, 13. I think you can only play 13 on like 360 PS3.
Unless you get like PlayStation Extra. No, with premium. It might be
Premium.
on now. I don't
Maybe
think
on
it
Game
is.
Pass as well, I don't know.
I think they're on Game Pass. Well, they're backwards compatible. So.
Oh, okay, that's fair. I just never really cared for it. And I maybe if I was in the community more, I'd maybe have a bit more of a comment to say about it.
Maybe.
Especially because I suppose you're always going to be comparing it to your ones. If I play Final Fantasy 7 and if I play Final Fantasy 6 and I'm like, okay, well, look, Final Fantasy 6 and 7, they're my one.
This is the game, I think.
And then you get to like 9.
And you're
And
like,
you're like, oh,
what
it's
is
kind of like
this?
similar, kind of different. You get like 10, you're like,
Yeah.
what is this? You're like 15.
Yeah.
You're like, there's a car, there's like a real human actual, like a photorealistic car.
Yeah. What?
Gladiolus, Arden, like
It's us?
Noctis Lucis Caleb. What are these words that you're saying to me?
What? Aaron Paul was in the movie?
Aaron Paul was in the movie. There was a movie. There was also an anime.
There's an anime?
And you need to watch them all.
Yeah. They're kind of integral.
Kingsglaive, Brotherhood.
Kingsglaive, yeah.
Well, I think we fucked up the story of 15 in the middle of developing it, so you only get like half the product. And
Good now, though. You play all the DLC and watch other stuff. It's good now.
mostly, they did like cut out the last like third of the DLC, including like the ending.
Aye, they couldn't finish it off.
They were going to like make the ending good.
Threw Arden in there, yeah.
But they released it in a book. It was episode Lucis, no, episode Noctis, episode Luna, and episode the red-haired lassie who's like not that relevant.
Okay.
But I'm pretty sure Noctis and Luna are like the two main characters, like the main male and female characters, and their DLC was basically going to be like fix the fucking ending, I think.
Right, okay.
But they didn't get to it, so they just released it in a book, which apparently it's like a good ending, but it's kind of like it's a shame we have to go to a book to like
actually end it.
Find the emotional completion.
Aye.
You know, we obviously talked about other games and that. Speaking to the story,
yeah.
So what are you thinking of the story? As you say, it's about like Game of Thrones inspired.
Yeah,
Are you really feeling that?
Really feeling it right now, just like Shulk.
I'm really feeling it.
Really feeling it.
It is rain time.
It is rain time, yeah. Yes, very good. If you played the demo and you hate, I can't remember her name, I think her name's Annabella. You hate Clive's mum, right?
Clive's mum.
Trust me, she's so much fucking worse, right?
Oh, that's bad.
Trust me.
I've watched the demo and she's just the worst. Literally Cersei Lannister.
You watched it. You watched Game of Thrones, you thought Cersei was bad. She's worse than Cersei, right? How is it possible? Trust me, it's possible, right?
Just like the worst.
She's awful.
She's probably just not even going to be the main villain, is she?
Probably not. Do you know what? Probably not. The Emperor's going to be the main villain, right? An Emperor guy.
They'll do like a classic Final Fantasy twist where like at the end it's like, I'm Mooga Booga and I was possessing her the whole time and now you must fight me.
Exactly. No, I think I know. Oh my god, it's not X-Death, please not. It's not a fucking tree you can, like, with demon souls in it or whatever.
There's a tree with demons in it and we call them X-Death.
No. I think I know who the main villain is, but I don't want to spoil it.
Yeah, spoilers, of course. We won't go that far. Still fresh.
Yeah. I'm really liking it. The tone's really cool. Clive's like, he's got some shit to figure out after the demo, you know?
Okay.
That early doors, he's got stuff to kind of work out, and that's really cool getting to that resolution. And then we're working on another character kind of getting the same kind of path to resolution they're working through.
There's been a lot of buzz about Sid, played by Ralph Ineson.
Based Sid.
First off, famous British actor Ralph Ineson is just in the game as a Final Fantasy man.
Having a great year in gaming, apparently, this man.
Doing amazing. Folk just love him. And I'm like, he's just in Final Fantasy.
He's just got a great voice. He is giving it his all. He's fantastic in the game.
That's good.
I will say, yeah.
That's good.
He's loving it.
Do you know what's actually interesting? I just thought.
Go on.
I think maybe the tone is maybe one of the biggest things that evolves / is indicative of the difference in Final Fantasy.
Right. Yeah.
The old games are very much like we are going on an adventure, and you get to 7, it's like we are eco-terrorists.
Yeah, that's cool.
You know, if it's like we have to assassinate a political leader.
Yes.
Now you get this one, which is like literally like Game of Thrones. We're out in the fucking fields with swords, killing people.
16's like, we live in this world. The people that can do magic, the bearers, who are just like naturally gifted at magic, they're our slaves now. You know, we're gonna round them up, make them do things they don't want to do. There's this thing in the game. I'm gonna spoil this wee bit for you. If they use magic too much, they turn to stone you.
Oh shit!
But like part of them at a time. So there's one part of the game.
Like a thing that you know, can you like see it on you type of thing? Right. Okay.
So there's one part of the game where you go to like a church and it's in your old place, your old Kingdom Rosaria, right?
Okay.
And you go to the church because this nice barkeep has sent you there to find out what they're doing to the bearers.
Right.
And you go there and it's just this priest who's got like a fucking room full of bearers and they're all turning to stone, dying slowly. It's so fucked up.
That's fucking weird.
And it's like they just turn to fucking dust after it. They're just like in stone, and it's like they can't move the arm or the leg, so they're just lying there trying to like work through the pain, and they're just dying slowly in his bed.
Oh, it was the priest like letting that happen, or is he trying to fix them?
He's like comforting them through it because he can't stop it.
Right. Okay.
You're just that's it now.
Are you a bearer?
You're a bearer.
Are you turning to stone?
You're Clive Rossfield, bearer. You're not turning to stone yet. You will if you use magic too much. The gameplay wouldn't allow you to turn it stone, obviously. But like,
yeah. Well, you don't know.
Maybe at one point I will just become stone.
That's really interesting. There's sort of like a facet like that in 13, where in 13 you've got the whole. In 13 you're basically branded by
the fucking.
Oh god, this is the fucking weird names in 13.
The
Fal'Cie, who are the gods, and they basically turn you into a Lissie. Which is you perform a bearer of their will.
Yeah.
It's not like how it says in the game, but basically you have to do a task for them. And they basically show you a slideshow of hints on how to do your task.
Okay.
And then if you don't do your task, you'll just become a Seath, which is like you're going hollow from Dark Souls basically.
No.
And you have like a tattoo that slowly fills in as your time.
Turn into a monster, right?
Yes,
aye. Yeah.
Except in Final Fantasy 13, they just fucking bullshit it.
Aye.
Because they all turn into monsters because they're
like, but we believe too hard.
Yes, literally they turn back into humans because they're like, oh, we make our own fate. And our fate's what we choose. It's like, shut the fuck up, Lightning. Like, I swear to God, please stop talking.
God damn it, Lightning.
Plus, you know, the whole thing is like stupid because it's like they show you a rough idea of maybe what you need to do, and like, right, go do it. And I'm like, right, well, it's to your benefit. You're making me do it because you can't do it, but you're not going to tell me what to do. And then there's a fail state for me. So if I fail to do the thing that you want me to do, that you didn't actually tell me what it was to do, I get punished. Where does that make any sense?
Come on.
This is why I like the idea of 16 being sensible and having an interesting story. Because
it's quite sensible. It's very followable. It's great.
You use too much magic, you turn to stone. That's simple. There's no 15 steps to that.
The government are making you turn to stone because they fucking hate you because you're a bearer.
The government hates bearers.
Yeah.
Does the government not have their own bearers?
Yeah, but they're fucking slave. They're a slave population.
Government, man.
Everyone literally.
Government, man.
I'll tell you this as well. Right? That's another wee kind of spoiler, but it tells you. It just gives more world building.
Yeah,
it's right. So you're in that pub that I was talking about earlier.
Yeah, the pub, the guy that gives you the quest to go to church.
Yes, right. So you're in there, and this woman walks in, and it's just sort of a background chatter, but it focuses on this conversation she has with her friends at this table.
Right.
So she walks in, and she's like, "I just dropped my baby off at the barracks," because when the kids are born, that's when they tell if you're a bearer or not.
Okay.
So she's birthed the kid.
Straight out.
Oh no, it's a bearer. I'll drop it off at the barracks. It's just going to become a slave now. Guess what? Our kid who's next to her says, "I know he wasn't my brother."
Other kid?
Yeah, I know he wasn't my brother. You know. It's just literally a slave. It's just like nobody cares.
Bro.
It's so fucked up.
This story is like
It's
man.
fucked, man.
God.
But it's great.
How do you know they're a bearer?
I guess they just do like some sort of test or something. Like they don't.
Aptitude test.
They don't like do.
Math.
They don't like tell you exactly what that step process is like. But they're like, yeah, you can tell they're a bearer. Fuck, man.
Check on the ass.
Aye, yeah.
I've got a mark of the bearer, mate.
But as far as I can tell, the Kingdom of Rosaria were big. Elrond, whatever his name was, I can't remember.
Elrond?
Aye, your dad.
For Lord of the Rings?
Aye, that one.
Elrond Hubbard?
Aye. He was, they chose to have their bearer be the, like, inheritor of the icon, I think is what happened. So they're actually like the only kingdom that are like okay-ish.
Oh, okay.
But their bearers are still treated like shit, but it's not as bad as other kingdoms were. Mm-hmm. Like the bit in the demo where Clive's like he runs into the bearer, he's like a total cunt to the guy.
Yeah.
He's just like, oh man, don't worry about it, kind of thing. Like, he's how you'd imagine a main character lead to be with a like lower population or like lower scene class. They'd be like, oh man,
he's the protagonist and he's nice to
exactly, he would be nice to everyone. He doesn't want like racial things happening.
Is that the guy with the bread?
Aye, exactly.
Right, okay.
You can,
I saw that scene.
So everyone else is like, oh, maybe be respectful and stuff, and Clive's just like, oh, don't worry about it, man, it's okay, like, I get it. You were just in a bit of a rush.
That's it's interesting. I'm trying to get the name here. But this is another thing. You know, Final Fantasy does have more bleed overs than I thought. Because I'm like, oh, it's the magic users of this oppressed population who are maybe treated nicely by some, by others.
Yeah.
That's just the plot of Final Fantasy 6.
Man, there you go.
It's the Espers.
We're working in like
literally the Espers are like oppressed by the Empire. I don't know what sort of like they enslaved in 16. In 6 it's they physically abuse them to get their magic. I think you have to the Empire literally like you're killing Espers to get the magicite.
Right. Okay.
Whereas like you can cooperate with the Espers to like nicely receive magicite.
Right.
You know what? There's a theme. There's fucking themes in Final Fantasy.
Aye.
I think the natural world and like our relationship with the natural world is always coming up, and it becomes more important with the more modern games. 7, 6 has that. 6 has like, you know, the evil empire brutally takes magic from the natural magical Esper world by force. 7, evil Shinra the corporation is sucking the lifeblood out of the planet violently and killing the planet. However, you can technically also get materia, which is like the magic stuff in that one, by cooperating with the planet, taking only as much as you need, being nice and that.
Plucking the apple from the tree.
Literally, like all that stuff. 10's, the whole thing, the 10's very spiritual because it's about the afterlife. In 10, you can go to the afterlife. It's a place you can just walk to, and it's manifested by fireflies, which are like insects, but they're like conduits to the planet. Yeah. There's like, I believe there's some guys in 10 who use the fireflies in bad ways, and there's some people who are like they're dead people. There's like dead people in 10 who are still alive because they're clinging onto life. And that's like firefly shit. And I'm sure there's even others you maybe go into more, but then you get to like, as I say, 16's the same. It's like, you know, it's maybe not quite as emphasised as it was back then, but you know, again, the natural magic users, our relationship with the natural environment.
Yeah, the natural environment's going through changes.
Oppressive regimes.
Yeah.
Fucking, there's like an evil empire in every goddamn like game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's a really common note. I never once sat down to think about that.
Yeah.
That they actually
what's the story actually about?
Yeah, like what is Final Fantasy about?
Man.
The first game's just about like a guy who's like goes back in time and just becomes beasties.
Standard, you know?
Time loop and that.
Chaos.
It's always been weird to be fair, Final Fantasy.
It has always been
The
weird.
first game's literally a stable time loop at the end. There's like a guy who had powers in the present,
Yeah.
but he actually goes back in time to the past to create the things that give him powers in the present or something like that.
Loop.
Chaos.
Chaos.
Play Final Fantasy or just Changing of Paradise.
Oh my god.
When I talked about some of the spin-offs are good, some of the spin-offs are
Yeah.
bad. I don't know. I've heard Changing of Paradise is actually fun. It's
Apparently
just
combat's great,
it's
yeah.
one of the dumbest stories ever written in a video game.
See, there you go.
The powerful light, powerful darkness.
That's it. You need to take the good with the bad.
Okay, so I mean, I think what's interesting is the edginess of 16. You know, I'm not saying the other games haven't been edgy, but you know,
I don't find it edgy.
well, okay, edgy's maybe. I don't. I guess that's maybe not fair.
The
Like,
darker, more
hardcore,
serious tone.
darker, serious,
Yeah.
gritty.
Yeah.
You know, which I think really would pay off for them. I think it's a fun direction to take it.
Yeah.
Especially in direct comparison, like, you know, 1 through 5, where it's like, we're on an adventure.
Yeah.
You know, Final Fantasy in this day and age to be like, oh, no, we're doing like Game of Thrones. We're doing like big kaiju battles.
Yeah.
Beautiful aesthetics.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
Music's quite good.
Music is great from what I've heard. I would like to hear some of the soundtrack just out with. Just like listen to it.
Just to sit and consume
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah, but I don't think it's like available anywhere yet.
Okay.
There's
yeah.
some great kind of somber moments I really like, and there's some nice themes I just like chill. But the battle music and like the boss fight music is as epic as
I've
you'd
heard the
want it to
battle
be.
music, it's quite good.
Yeah.
The music for Final Fantasy always hits. Music, I
Aye.
think, is one of the most reliable things in gaming.
I'd say so. Final Fantasy's always had a good history with it.
It's not
I don't think they've had a
impossible for
bad
it
one really.
to be bad. I agree with
Yeah.
some complaints I've heard about the Resident Evil remakes.
Right.
Basically just having no, like the ambient music, and that's just infinitely worse than it is in the originals.
Yeah, well the ambient music works better in the old games because it's like it's like fucking
Atmospheric.
no, it's like the camera angles. It's not over the shoulder. It's just a bit easier.
Oh,
Like
it's fixed camera angles.
Aye,
it's
it's
just a
much
very
easier
fixed
to-
visual style.
it's
And
much
it's
easier to
more of a
work it.
distinct, eerie music.
Yeah.
The new ones opt for, like, Resident Evil 2, I'm pretty sure that doesn't even have music, let alone
Not even when you're in the I don't think you've got any in the police in the RPD. No. I don't think
literally
there's any
just
music.
noises
Your
and bumps.
footsteps.
Aye.
Aye.
And then even in 3,
It's atmospheric in a different way.
I
But like the
suppose
originals
aye.
have a certain like
yeah, there's something that music brings.
certain
to it.
click to it. You
And
know?
it's more the aesthetic of the horror.
Uh-huh.
It's not just like, oh, well, let's get rid of the music and make like footsteps. That's
Aye.
scary. The original Resident Evil 2's got such a
And it's
degree
like
of horror.
all the music for Resident Evil, like the early stuff, is very iconic. Like if you heard it, you'd be like, oh,
Well, what
what's
I
that?
heard sound comparisons between 3 and 3 remake,
Right, yeah.
and like 3, how 3 remake just like adapts
Aye.
the scores, and it's just infinitely worse. It's just dulled out.
Yeah.
It's over orchestrated. It's 4 remake of music.
It does, but I can't really remember much of it, to be honest with you. I need to
Yeah, sit
replay it.
down
I
and
need to
listen.
go back through it.
But that's just to basically show an outlier, because it's not
Yeah.
impossible. But I know a lot of game series that are like, no matter how bad the game gets, the music's always good.
Yeah, yeah.
Final Fantasy, Pokemon, Sonic the Hedgehog,
Yeah.
like every banger, even at their worst.
Aye.
And yeah, Final Fantasy, you know, I sit and listen to the 7 remake soundtrack just naturally.
Yeah, that's
Like
shit.
One Winged Angel,
Slaps.
Genova, the Rufus Shinra boss battle theme, which is actually, I believe, an original for the remake.
Yeah.
One of my favourite boss battle themes of all time.
Well, I think I don't know if it was on a YouTube video or it was just like some guy talking about an interview with the like music supervisor who just wanted to pay like mad homage to the original and like work to what it could have been then. Like make
remake?
Make it better.
Yeah, I think that's a really good way of looking at it, because the version of One Winged Angel and the version of Genova that's in 7 remake,
It's a level up.
they work towards it.
Aye.
They're very grand and smooth and orchestral. Genova's the best example. One Winged Angel's always different when you hear it. Genova's like starts very like sweeping and orchestral and almost not generic in a bad way, just more what you'd expect.
Right.
But then eventually, once you reach the pinnacle of the fight, the phase 3,
swells.
then it swells and it thrusts into, oh god, that's Genova from Final Fantasy 7.
Aye.
It's literally the beat, and it's like a remix using like the instrumentation, but it's still keeping that like the same sort of beat and energy of the
you know
sweeping
it.
orchestra.
Yeah.
But then you're like, oh, it's Genova, and it's not like, oh, it reminds you of Genova. It is Genova.
It's just
the
the beats.
song.
Yes.
It's just they've really pressed it. They've really fucking compressed it in a diamond. You know what I mean?
Aye.
They pushed it really fucking tight.
Perfected it here for you.
Literally. And then even the original themes for like a lot of the games.
Yeah.
You know, that's what we just mentioned, like the fighting music for 16. I mean, a lot of them are based. A lot of them are based. You'll find repeating music. I mean, the battle theme's always like
Yeah.
some sort of issue. You always hear the
Like in 16, when you beat a battle, it's more like the important battles. They do like an operatic.
I heard
Aye.
that. I watched it in the demo. It's
Yeah.
like and I'm like, oh,
so
no,
good, aye.
that's not the song. But I mean, I mentioned all that just because, you know, I think 16 so far is a success.
I would have no doubt agreeing with that unit. It's got 3 million sold copies at this point.
That's not that long.
which is
I heard it was doing really well in the UK numbers, aye.
Yeah, I think, like I say, made in English first, so us, the US, are going to be the biggest market for it. I think 7, I don't even know how well that done in Japan, but I think it's a more Western take. I feel like a lot of the Western fans are like, 7's the one.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's when it started to change, maybe. And this feels again like it's the one. I feel like it's a turning point in this series, probably.
Yeah, I'm curious to honestly.
For the better or the worse.
It's maybe too early, but I'm curious to see, like, what does Final Fantasy 17 look like?
Aye, what does Final Fantasy 17 look like? What does 16 2 look like?
Yeah.
Who knows? What does a DLC for this game look like?
I suppose, you know, with Final Fantasy really, because Final Fantasy hasn't really done, like, much of, like, what you'd think a DLC would be.
Aye.
Like, 13 never had, like, I don't really call 13 that ever having a story DLC.
Yeah.
15 had the episodes, which were, like, self-contained narratives that you would play theoretically separate from the main story.
And 7 had integrated.
7 had integrated, which technically is also an episode.
Aye.
Because it's
Yuffie,
like, separate in that.
Yeah.
So, like, was 16 just that? Like, oh, let's just do, like, a Sid.
They could just not do it from all the things I've heard about it. It's a full game. You don't need anything extra here. I just think I've not even finished it yet. I would like more, and I've got more of the game to play, obviously.
Yeah.
But like, I would like more after it. I think.
By any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm curious to sort of see, you know, how much more you've got left going, where you're sort of feeling after the fact.
Aye.
And then, what do they do going off of that? You know, we're in a very positive and interesting era for Final Fantasy.
I would say so.
You know, with games like 16 coming out.
Yeah.
7, the whole 7 remake project is a fascinating experience.
I think it exists outside of the main games though.
Yeah,
you know?
That's exactly my point.
Yeah.
You know, how the 7 remake is grappling 7 and then how it's also turning 7 on its head.
Aye.
How it's so brazenly doing things that are completely contradictory to 7 and like they're threatening to be like, no, this is not just a remake. We are goddamn.
How at this point it is just
messing with the story.
A different game. Completely.
Yeah.
It's like, you know what, 7 is happening here, but it's also like right next to it here is a different thing that's happening.
It's almost like 7
you need
remake
to keep an eye on both of these.
It's about it not being 7 in some ways.
It's pretty much. It's
even
like,
though a lot's the same.
Aye. It's like at this point in 7 remake and Rebirth, someone may not die. Who you think could die? It could be someone else.
We could go to different places in different orders.
Yeah.
And what does that mean?
Aye.
Like, a lot of the biggest bits in the 7 remake were the new original stuff, which was like we're grappling. Like, what's happening with Zack? What's happening with Aerith? What's happening with Sephiroth?
What's going on here?
7 seconds till the end, not long perhaps, what we do it. Like, what does that mean? You just see a couple of random out of context lines and you're like, what are you talking about? So, I think it's a really fascinating time for Final Fantasy because it needed a win. You know,
I would say so. Well, I mean, Remake was the win.
Remake was the win, I suppose.
But it needed like another, like a 16 had
remake,
to be a win.
Remake would have been a win no matter what because it's a remake of 7.
Exactly.
Even if it wasn't like so weird and different.
That's a good point, yeah.
16 being good is like, oh, good. They can still make a good Final Fantasy
game.
Thank God
we will continue this now. Like we will get 17 now, probably.
Exactly. Like 13 was a mess.
Like 16 or not is different, but
15 was a mess that people like, but yeah, like however we do it, it's like good. Square Enix can make a good Final Fantasy game in the modern era.
Exactly.
What will those crazy guys come up with next?
Who fucking knows?
Will Tetsuya Nomura get to make Versus 13?
No, he's going to do Kingdom Hearts 4 first.
Which will be Versus 13.
Probably. But do we go to France? Most likely.
Lightning Fire in Israel.
Will we see him there?
At the end of Lightning Returns, I'm going to explain this joke.
Go quickly.
Because people deserve to know. At the end of the Final Fantasy 13, Lightning Returns Final Fantasy 13, Lightning does the thing. She becomes Jesus and saves all the souls. And she's rewarded with like all her friends getting to like live in the new world. And the new world is the real world.
Yes.
And she's in France.
Earth 616, the real world.
She lives in the real world, Lightning Fire in Israel. She lives in France. Go to France. Lightning Faren's there. She's a model.
You'll find her. Yep.
Like, oh, I love that. I love that so much. Yeah, I just, like, where are they going to go next? What are they going to do? 7 remake, well, that trundles along. We'll watch that career with great interest.
Yes. I will be involved in that train, hopefully, by the time Rebirth comes out.
Yeah, by the time, I'm probably going to play remake as well. Yeah. Because I really look to myself. I was going to wait till they were all out, but now that we're really realising the scope.
Yeah.
It's like, okay,
I kind of want to be there at the end.
That too.
Yeah.
I think it's more like, if I wait till that comes out, I'm going to be inundated for like a year playing one game.
Yes.
You know what I mean? That's just the 3
Final Fantasy. That sounds awesome, to be fair, but like, yeah, I get what you're saying.
It does to a degree, but then also, my ability I already know how bad I am at playing games.
Yeah.
Or like, well, I'm good at playing them, but how bad I am at progressing in them.
Yeah.
So if I had to, I'm just going to be playing Final Fantasy from like January to December.
Like, oh.
So yeah, if I at least keep up with it, then I'll be there at the end and we'll all be able to experience it together.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm happy with that.
Damn.
The final thing is we'll end on a little funnier point.
Oh.
We'll talk about what we were talking about at work today.
Oh.
So Final Fantasy has a sort of a Smash Bros. Fighter series called Dissidia. It's like all the Final Fantasy characters get together and they fight, and there's like a loose plot. Fight. You know, we've been talking a lot about how Final Fantasy is different than the same. And there was a bit of a funny joke on Twitter going around about how Clive is Clive, the main character, is 16.
Yes.
Is this gritty old man?
Yes.
Like 30, he's in his 30s, and he's an old, angry sword man.
He's seen bearers turn to fucking stone in front of his face.
He's literally like experienced hell on earth.
Literally.
And he's like, people are saying, should we put him in Dissidia? Because he'll be next to like the chibi, like, oh, we're adventurers and we're going on a very
Zidane,
quest.
We're like standing there.
Zidane, who's like a monkey man, and like Tidus, who like laughs, and like Noctis, who's 12. You know, like, so I guess, you know, do you think Clive would fit? Could you think Clive would?
Do you know what, right?
Can you see Clive next to like Lightning Farron?
See when the next Dissidia drops and Clive's in there, he's just going to be the best character. He's just going to destroy every single one of them.
But you know what's funny? So Dissidia NT came out after 15.
Oh.
So Noctis was kind of like the weird, like, oh, I'm the hyper-realistic one that's like a royal, and I'm part of like
shouldn't be right.
My game's a lot grittier, so what's the deal with like this monkey guy and like this Cloud of Darkness who's just a big evil lady with big tits? Like, what's going on there? I'm just a guy who fights other guys.
Yeah, literally.
So like in my head, like Clive would be even more than that. Like Noctis at least has stuff going on. Clive's like, like, you know, I've watched like my entire country burn, and you know, I've just experienced nothing but misery and woe.
Literally.
And like fucking like Barrett from Fantasy.
Oh my god.
He's like, oh hey Clive. He got a fucking name like Clyde. He's like, alright, I'm Clive. Next, like, alright, my name's Noctis Lucius Calum.
Yeah.
And you're like, get the fuck away from me.
Yeah. How are they mixing in the locker room?
Ogden Izuna. You know? Oh. Fucking Tara Branford. I'm like, my name is Clive.
Turns up his car, he's like, what the hell is that? Where's your chocobo? Where is it? What's going on?
There is actually chocobos in 15 as well as the hyper-realistic photoreal car.
Yes.
I think, would you mean 16? Is there a car in 16?
No, I'm saying he'd be so confused. He'd be like, what the hell's that?
Oh, right.
We ride about in chocobos.
Clive, like, freaking looks like Grand Loser. Clive's like, what is this metal device?
Yes,
what is this? Like Bahamut, he just smacks
what is this sorcery? Yeah.
Fucking Terra's there in the Magitech armor. He's like, these robots, I don't understand. I'm a man out of time. He's the caveman. He's the caveman.
Oh my god. Clive in Dissidia is the caveman. You're right. It's come full circle.
Oh, well. Oh, that was a good one.
My god.
Well, I think that's us.
I think so.
Do you get anything else you want to say? Especially for Final Fantasy 16, since you're the player.
Yeah.
I'm the observer.
Get it, play it. It's great. You have my recommendation.
Port it.
Yup.
It is, unfortunately, PS5 exclusive.
It is PS5 exclusive.
I say unfortunately, I'm a PS5 stan, so yeah.
That's true.
We keep winning.
Sony shell. Knowing Sony shell.
You know, apparently it works. You know,
it does.
Looks good. It runs great. I saw someone talking about how like they had like a ridiculously long loading screen in 15, and then they went to 16, and there's like a quick load, and it's like,
oh my god,
insane.
It turns on within like you just turn it on. It's within a minute I'm in the game. Like it's
games that really
crazy.
That's insane.
It doesn't make any sense to me.
We might need to do like an episode on like technology of gaming.
Technology of gaming.
I remember
it's changed a lot.
Like Miles Morales in the PS5 for the first time.
Yeah.
And like the remastered version of Spider-Man PS4 and PS5. Just the insanity of being able to press like the continue button, you're just in the game immediately playing.
Yeah.
Versus like 20-minute fucking load.
Crazy fast.
Bang Maddie, Graeme.
Bang Maddie.
Yeah, so I support Final Fantasy 16.
Yes, get it going.
I want to thank you for joining us.
Yes, of
course. I want to thank you, Graeme, for all of the discussion.
Thank you.
Thank me.
Yes.
I'm great, aren't I?
You're good, yeah.
I'm amazing. But you know who's amazing? Graeme.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Right, well, thank you very much, guys.
Yes.
We'll catch you in the next one.
Catch you in the next one.
Bye.
Bye. Scenes is a fan-created podcast. We have no affiliation with any of the brands, studios or properties mentioned. All views are our own.
Produced and edited by my partner, Rebecca. Music is provided by Epidemic Sound, and the cover artwork was commissioned by Rhiannon Kagoe on Twitter or Instagram.
Oh my god. I can't see.
Oh my god.